What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we're going to teach you how to sell yourself better. Because whether you like it or not, when you walk out the door every day, you are selling. You might not think you are, but that smile that Maurice Claret is flossing.
Oh, that big one on Instagram, baby.
Not a chump, but a champ, baby. What?
We can talk about chumps, too.
Oh, you're selling yourself. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think this is a major key. And, of course, it's brought to you by maxeffortmuscle.com. Because if you want to sell yourself with some muscles,
Right.
we can help you with that, John.
That's a fact. If you know what drives the muscle growth is the brain.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
you like that?
Yeah, I do like
and
that,
we
John.
do have to continue to talk about the product that was responsible for Maurice Claret packing up all the boxes in his house. Okay?
There we go.
That's how strong. This man is 260 pounds. He took a couple of our cognitive
You're lighter than
enhancers.
that now, ain't you, Mo?
Slightly.
Sorry, go ahead,
Slightly,
John.
right.
Yes. Which we have not revealed the name yet, but when we do reveal the name, people will know. And at the end of the day, guys, listen, you go to work, stop drinking coffee, and start taking our cognitive enhancer. When it hits the market,
It's going to be sick.
you are going to be more productive. And you could also pack boxes at home, and you could get things done that you normally don't want to do.
Or don't
Yeah,
feel like
like
doing
paper- Paperwork.
Exactly.
Like
Nobody
John
likes
takes it and
paperwork.
does paperwork.
Exactly. So you know what? All of you guys are going to be affected in a positive way by this, and we just can't wait to put it out.
It's unbelievably different. Nothing that I've dove as deep in as I was able to when we were putting the formulas together.
You dove pretty deep into those shoes this morning.
John, these shoes right here, you guys can't see if you're on audio, are retro polo flats because we're potentially
Flats? Don't women wear flats and heels?
I don't know. They call them flat. I don't know.
Okay.
They don't have a heel on them.
Boat shoes, right?
Boat shoes.
Okay.
Well, boat shoes are like.
I actually like them.
Well, we're gonna go potentially to the memorial today, so I had
Okay.
I couldn't wear my Jordans.
I like them.
Yeah.
I did. I brought a
Okay.
backup pair of shoes, by the way.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe they're not flats. They're boat shoes.
There you go.
I guess flats is a chick thing. Huh?
Yeah, it is. It really
Damn
is.
it! I'm never gonna live that one
It
down.
really is.
Never gonna live that
It
one down,
really
am I?
is.
Can't say you got flats on.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
God, can we redo that one?
No. No. You're wearing a West Side Barbell
Barbell shirt,
t-shirt,
but I'm wearing
some
flats.
flats.
Oh, gosh, I'm never. All right, take over the show, John.
Corey, we talked about selling ourselves, right?
I just sold myself in a bad way.
You sold a real bill of goods.
No. It's fake. No one clipped that out for Instagram.
No. So listen, when there's actually a really good book written on this. I can't remember the name, but when you walk out of the door every day, you're selling yourself, whether you're walking into work and smiling at your boss or smiling at your coworker, the things you say, you're selling an idea of yourself. You're selling the thought that I can get my work done, that I'm going to be productive today. That's on the lowest levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in business, as you move up, and you're dealing with important partners, and you want to get big objectives done, and you have goals, you cannot just go directly at them. You have to have a strategy that involves selling the idea that, if otherwise didn't have a strategy, would never be attained. Because when you're going after big goals, there has to be a sales process. And it starts typically with selling an idea. And the first and most important idea that I think everybody needs to sell is the idea that I'm stable. I'm responsible. I keep my word. I'm a businessman. I'm someone you can trust. So that's how this starts, right? Once you establish that, then you can get into the other things. But until you sell yourself, man, you're not going to be making deals. You're not going to be collaborating with people. And it's very tough to gain allies and just do business as a whole.
Good, Mo.
Yeah, I mean, I just pretty much build on it, and I believe really you're selling the trust and the capacity in which people feel that they should deal with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Selling yourself obviously is just coming through with a level of authenticity of like, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. based upon your level of intellect when you decide to talk about what you're talking about. Like they say, real game, recognize game. A person will be able to see, like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. Either I'm dealing with a bullshitting person or I'm dealing with somebody who's
Real guys always grab it.
Yeah, you can grab it. You know what I'm saying? And I just think I just a lot like you. Before you can get to the next step, a lot goes into, okay. If I meet John or if I meet Corey, initially it's like, okay, who am I dealing with? And based upon who I'm dealing with, and your ability to sell yourself to me or to introduce yourself to me. If John wants to do business with me in some capacity, he's going to dictate how much I give to him or how much I put in front of him. You know what I'm saying? Based upon how you sell yourself. And I think just the more you do business, the more you realize what's important and what's not important. And you start to realize based upon the dynamic of the relationship or the person who you're dealing with, you can say, okay, I need to get here real fast. I need to talk about numbers real fast. I need to I think a lot goes into it. I know I'm going a little bit further into it now.
No, please.
But I read from what is his name? Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger is Warren Buffett's partner.
Sure.
And he talked a lot about you'll never be able to maximize your dollar or maximize business if you don't understand culture. And I think a lot of what you talk about, when we talk about selling yourself, if you don't understand just the culture of the situation that you're in, you don't know what to emphasize. And I'm pretty sure just, even across the spectrum of, doing business in many different parts of the country, different cultures, races, everything, being able to sell yourself and be authentic, but to be able to speak to who you're speaking to in an accurate way.
Absolutely.
I think that that goes into a lot with selling yourself. And so, being a little bit more worldly or being able to be around white people, black people, young, old, different cultures and ethnicities and stuff like that. I think that consuming information, watching TV, being a little bit more open to things allows you to expose yourself to more opportunity per se.
I think it's the awareness of the situation. Kind of to your point, Mo, it's like when you're in a certain situation culturally or the age group or how people operate, it's like, if I know what's important to John and I'm a young dude in this organization, I'm going to be doing those things.
Yes.
So John's trust level grows. So here's what you want to be. You want to be the first thing that comes across the desk that's an opportunity. Guess who it goes to first?
100%.
You want to be that person. And I always made myself, even within the MP structure, because it was so corporate and big, every time these new things would come across, I like to be the guy that could fix stuff. Hey, I got this $5 million problem over here. No one else can do it, but I know Corey somehow, not because he went to Cornell, not because he did this, he'll figure it out. I'm a problem solver. Boom, put it on my plate. The confidence that I could do those things or figure things out was what I sold myself because of the consistent nature that I displayed all the time, right? So I had my wheelhouse stuff, and then I had the problem stuff I thought I could figure out. And I think that, you're constantly selling yourself every day. See, a lot of people think they sell themselves once or twice. It's a what have you done for me lately type of business world. And if you don't think that's the truth, you're fucking crazy.
Yes.
Because in multiple situations, I'd have been gone just as fast as I'd have been there.
Yeah. So I think what's important is giving the listener like real takeaways on how you actually do sell yourself. So I think we all nailed the importance of it and what it can yield. But when you break it down to the most basic level, how do you sell yourself? And I'm a believer in always knowing the score between two people. If we're speaking in business terms, right?
Sure.
Is he higher on the totem pole than me? Okay. If he is, I got to be slow, meaning I got to be an active listener. I need to put myself in his shoes and understand that he doesn't need me at all. He poses so many benefits for me. I pose nothing for him. So how do I show him that I could bring him some value? So you have to have an understanding of the situation. And then if you get in that situation, you have to look people in the eye, especially people who are accomplished. The little things will fucking tear you down. You have to look them in the eye. You have to give them a firm handshake. And when they're taught, don't be in a rush to talk. Be in a rush to listen. A human characteristic that will never change is we all like to talk. And we all like to talk about ourselves. And guys who are accomplished really like to talk about themselves. So if you understand that just on a human level, and you compliment them, oh, wow, man, I'm hoping to get to your level. Be complimentary, be understanding. Let them bring it out. And then if you're empathetic and you're listening and you're understanding, they'll realize, okay, this might be a good kid or this might be a good guy. And then they'll ask you about yourself. That's the door. Right in. That's the fucking door. I maybe shouldn't have used that hand motion. I used the having sex hand motion. Didn't mean that. That's the door. Straight arm.
That's
now.
the one you guys should cut off for Instagram, not the flaps comment.
Exactly. Exactly. So basically,
so bad.
So once you're in and they ask you about yourself, now it's go time. Now it's time to shine. Now it's time to let them hear things that you believe will affect how they view you and make them want to bring you closer. Right? So if you let them know that you're a hard worker, if you let them know that you have goals that are unfulfilled, but you're focused, you have a plan, you have a strategy, then they're like, you remind me of me 30 years ago. I can't tell you how many fucking times I've heard the same statement from people going out who've achieved a lot, who I've talked to, because everyone wants to share knowledge when they've succeeded. And when you give them the chance to be like, ooh, you're my next bet of a young guy that's going to come up, let's form a relationship. Like, it's so hard to do that, but the only way you can do that, and you could even do it with an employee. If there's an employee that just listens and takes it in and follows, whether you're aware of it or not, you're going to want to see them succeed just a little bit more, right? You're going to put more into them. And that is selling yourself, but you have to understand that it's not about you. You have to listen. You have to put yourself in their shoes, and you have to do the basic things that successful men and women have been doing for years, which is look people in the eye, don't be shaky when you talk, don't fucking talk fast, and fucking shake hands. These are real takeaways that you could literally apply next time you meet somebody that you want to, let's say, build a relationship with.
If people can look John in the eye when he's serious, they're doing good.
Absolutely.
Because your stare is so serious, John.
Yeah, my man's an intense dude.
Well,
I give you, if you want to talk about takeaways, as you were talking, my mind went into a couple different places, and I think the first thing when it comes to selling yourself, the biggest thing and one of the oldest things that we're talking about is attitude. People who tend to have like an upbeat, optimistic, energetic sort of attitude upon meeting people, there's a transference of energy. You know what I'm saying?
Attractive personality, Andrew
Carnegie. Yeah, attractive personality. And I'm just, as you were talking, I'm thinking about people who have sold themselves to me to make me say, hey, I want to either do business, get to know this person, or something like that. I think there's also, and that goes to what you're talking about with shutting the fuck up and not talking, there's a level of humility. I think the second thing that you can add to your repertoire if you're trying to sell yourself to somebody is to say, hey, I have a level of humility that I have. I want to listen to you much more than I want to hear myself talk. Right. And that helps a shit ton. But I think the third thing is that upon anything that is requested is just like, hey, I'll do anything. If I'm trying to do business with you, if I'm trying to get in the company, if I'm trying to just sell yourself to let me know, no job is going to be beneath me and nothing is too big for me. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. I'm cleaning the trash, I'm vacuuming the floor, I'm wiping the walls down, I'll wipe the toilet out if I have to, but that's my starting point. And oftentimes, and people who have, I don't want to say necessarily failed with me because I don't want to look at as getting in business with me as being the holy grail. But when I've talked to people, interviewed, heard them talk, as soon as I see that something is beneath them, that just turns me off. Like, okay, if you're not looking to come into this situation and say, hey, I'll do whatever it takes, no matter how much experience you have, no matter how many companies you have worked for, if you're not willing to say, I'll do whatever it takes to make this situation work, to me that's a bad deal. And another thing, and this is just for somebody who may be interviewing for another position or somebody who may be going somewhere. I think one of the worst things you can do to kind of kill a conversation is to say, this is how we did stuff here, or this is how we did stuff there. I think it's cool if you can say you have that knowledge and you have those experiences, and those things help you to make decisions better. But constantly comparing where you were and how you used to do stuff elsewhere, I used to say, okay, motherfucker, if it was that great, why did you leave? You know what I'm saying? You know, just those things.
Well, and they're showing that they don't move on with their life.
I think that's what there you go.
Like I cringe when I hear constant talk about the past. It's like the past is the past, and if you want to continue to get better as an individual, as a professional, you have to be focused on what's going on now, where you're at now, because you could have had, I could have had, anyone could have had great achievements, but they're fucking over. Now, there could be lessons, okay? We could teach from that. But outside of that, what the fuck are you doing now? Are you trying to get better? And you can never get better if you say like, oh, well, that's how we did it before. No, it's always like, okay, well, how do I add to my skill set? How do I add to my repertoire? How do I add to my arsenal, right? And you can only add to things you're weak at, right? Because if you're strong at them, you got them. Yep. So you have to put yourself out there and be like, I'm not good at this shit. I don't like this shit. But if I fucking get good at it, I'm going to be a better businessman. I'm going to be a better professional. But too many people are stuck on the goddamn past and how it worked. And it's not the past. It will never be the past. The past was 5 seconds ago when I was just talking. Things have changed in 5 seconds.
Since 5 seconds.
Absolutely.
Well, what I got from a lot of NFL guys, Mo, when I was doing marketing stuff in the past, was the NFL is game to game. You can get the pink sheet tomorrow.
Yeah.
You fumble the punt return.
See you later.
They got another.
This
guy.
office is day to day.
I mean that was one thing I grabbed from a lot of athletes about is that 12-game, 16-game season is how they make their money all year. And, you know, there's always somebody behind you that is a little younger, a little faster, a little bit more. And so, like, I kind of grabbed that mentality from that, and that was cool. To your point earlier was when I was reading Andrew Carnegie this morning, it was funny, I was reading about this stuff, and he said Charles Schwab, which everybody knows what that name is, right, had, you know, not near the education, not near the stuff that anybody else in his organization had from a background, but what he had was positive attitude and consistency. And he said that absolutely was the reason why in 1920, I think, 2 or something like that, his bonus was $1 million that he had built. I mean, the money in that time frame is so epic, right? So this guy came in as an uneducated, you know, kind of, you know, bottom of the barrel type worker, and Charlie Schwab worked his way all the way up from 2 major things. People wanted to be around him. He basically invested into his mental attitude, so he had an attractive personality, and they could always count on him. And he made it all the way to the top that way.
So, I mean, one thing you said, I went to, and I think we spoke about it 2 or 3 episodes ago, when I went to the organizational structure, leadership, and sort of training I did earlier. And one thing that he was talking about, he said one thing that you want to be known for, and this can either go from an organization or it can go to yourself. You can kind of apply it how you see fit. But he said you want to become an HRO, which is a highly reliable organization. And basically, one thing that encompasses a highly reliable organization is for somebody to say, okay, when I deal with this organization, these are the things I get. You know what I'm saying? When I deal with max effort, I get this. And so from a personal standpoint, when I deal with John, I get honesty, I get work ethic, I get these things. And I think that if you kind of build yourself that way and say, okay, I'm going to be known for, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and even guys within the office, when they deal with me, they know they can count on me for these things. And I think that's with anything. I think that's even when you're building inside of a relationship. Think about your wife. Think about people who are next to you. Think about people who you depend on. It's usually people who are highly reliable, either with your feelings, either with your emotions, either the responsibility that your wife shows over your kids, either with keeping you happy, and so on and so forth. But it's just highly reliable people, and part part of building yourself into a highly reliable person is just, it's just to understand what character is all about, understanding what humility is all about, understanding what these cornerstones of life that you get from constantly either overcoming adversity or just reading to continuously build yourself up, but being able to present that to somebody and say, hey, this is me, this is who I am, and I'm selling yourself because, within your organization, you need people like me that you can depend on because, I can execute, I can be humble enough to follow the most menial task, or when you're not here, the whole place doesn't fall apart. You know what I'm saying? And everybody loves those people who they can depend on, that when you walk out the door, if you want to go to the golf course all day and watch Tiger since he's in town, that you have enough people in here who takes this thing serious enough to make it happen. I think that those are things that make people highly reliable. Those are also things that you can sell to yourself to other people. And with that being said, you say, okay, I was able to step away. Can I grow this person's responsibility? But I'm talking about a little bit after you get inside the relationship. But these are things that you do to sell yourself.
And I couldn't agree more. And I think, at least in an office setting, making yourself available to people and letting them know that, like, hey, if you need support, I am not above coming to saying, how do I, like, I'm always there to help you get better. Never be nervous to come interrupt me. If you need support on improvement, I will help you, because I hope that your career grows from the support myself or someone else gives you, and then you take that understanding and you pass it on when you're in my position, right? Because nobody can grow, nobody can acquire skills without support from people who have done it before. They have to be taught. Once you're taught, you can operate, and once you can operate, then you can teach, right? It's just like giving it down. And I think too many people, they get to a point and then they separate. Like, me and Corey were talking yesterday. We were talking honestly to ourselves. We're like, are we separating ourselves too much right now from the day-to-day workflow? Are we too much in the other room? Do we need to mix it up more? Do we need to make more touches? Do we need people to feel us more? Not to make them feel uncomfortable, but just to feel the support. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it's a natural progression when you get to a certain place in a certain position, when you don't have to be on the front lines, to take yourself off the front lines. And it's just something I would say, from organization to organization, individual to individual, you can make that decision.
Yeah, it's a little unnatural for me to do that.
Sure.
I think that I always worked in office environments that were pretty small. I was never in some big, massive thing where you're all the way over here and you don't even really see these other people. I mean, the organization I worked in before got big like that, where I didn't know everybody, which was a little strange. But it is that's what I was mentioning to John. I was like, we're in here strategizing and doing all this stuff, but it feels different than it did a little while ago. And that's what I want to make sure we got to be able to do both. And so, in that case, you're still selling support, which is still selling yourself in a different way.
Well, and like we talked about, the feeling of difference is most likely the feeling of the next level, right? To scale up, it can't feel the same, because if it feels the same, it will yield the same.
Kind of agree with that.
I get you like that. So, are you talking about building more systems?
That's what we're basically working on right now, which takes more just time of us cranking it out.
So I don't know everything, but it's just learning from guys who understand systems very well.
Yeah.
Building systems have taken 1,000 headaches off of me.
Oh, the E-Myth, man. That's the Michael Gerber, if you guys want to read
I don't know anything about it, but
yep. It's a systems book.
But you can even think like this, and I know I may be going into the conversation, but you think about with what is the guy's name? Whatever the guy's name was for the New England Patriots, he was just dogging Bill Belichick, right? And he was like, being with Bill Belichick was the worst shit. I hated my time in New England. And he was just throwing Bill Belichick up under the bus. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, you can throw him under the bus, but after in the last 17 years, he's been to 5 Super Bowls.
Right.
But and it was like, okay, do you want to have fun or do you want to win? You know what I'm saying? and it's not like one has to be exclusive from the other. But
Yeah, I think you can do both. But yeah.
But you can't argue results.
No.
You know what I'm saying? One thing we can't. I think, John, we said that how many episodes ago? You know, we were talking about the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
You know, we've been here. We've yielded these results. These systems work. And if you look at, I know we're getting off the beaten path, but you know, this
I'm
is
gonna tie it back though. Keep going.
this is of some value. When you look at where the NFL has went in general, or when you look at where basketball has went, and where you look at just football in general, they took the personalities out of it, right? So you had an instance where you had so many running backs saying, okay, fuck you, John Fosco, I'll hold out for my contract, and if you don't give me my contract, fuck your team. Your team has basically become handicapped. So what happened was all these owners said, fuck these motherfuckers, right? We're going to sit down and we're going to meet, and we're going to make this more about the coaches. So Coach Corey, what is your system that you pump and promote, right? So we need to start drafting and picking interchangeable motherfuckers, right? So instead of getting one running back,
Takes the power away.
we'll get 3 running backs, right, who have the same skill set, who are in the same system, right? We'll create rules to protect the quarterback, right? So we all can get together. We'll create the rules to protect the quarterback. You can't hit him, which means
It's
my
all
guy
manufactured.
is very manufactured.
Ooh, I never
So-
really thought about it like this.
Oh, listen to me, right? So you have all I can find 55 B-level players, and I can maybe find Maurice Claretta, Adrian Peterson, and Marshawn Lynch. Those are just like special guys here and there, right? But I can find a whole lot of these other motherfuckers, right? But if my offense has this system, or I can only find one. What's the guy who played for the Lions? Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
But we can find a bunch of other motherfuckers who between 5'11" and 6'3",
course.
who can run and jump, but we can't find these phenomenal quarterbacks,
yeah.
right? So we'll go ahead and create the rules to protect these guys. Stay off their knees, stay off their arms, don't hit them late, don't hit them while they're running. We can invest
Protect the
$100
investors.
million.
So true.
We can invest
He's
into
breaking it down right
Yeah,
now.
you
Well,
know,
because if you look at the guys last year, so if you look at fantasy sports, all people look at is stats. There's very few players, running backs, that are getting 20 carries anymore.
Here we go. Name me 10 running backs.
Bell.
Yeah, here we go.
from
Le'Veon.
Pittsburgh.
But you can name me 15 quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and 5 years ago, I could have named you 30 running backs.
Absolutely. And so
They're so
but-
interchangeable.
But the point of the story is they've sold the system. So
New England.
I'm
New
selling-
England always did it.
I'm selling the Belichick system.
Yeah, because it didn't matter whether it's LeGarrette Blount or some guy you ain't never heard of, or
Right.
this guy.
So it's easier to say, let me grab this skill set than to grab this player.
Right.
So the player doesn't hold you hostage. The system dictates the player. The owners own the team. And then why did they go pay John Gruden $100 million? Bring your system. We'll bring the players. Bring your system. Why do I play Kyle Shanahan all that money? Bring your system. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
now let's go recruit these players who can become something. And so there's certain players who you can never get outside of. You'll never get outside of a skilled cornerback. So
Yeah.
you can't do that. They always say you can't teach big. So if you're a 6'7" left fucking tackle,
Yeah.
like you just can't get around that shit.
Right.
Before the other
Right.
interchangeable pieces, who statistically don't have long careers, they've built systems to preserve that league. And if you look at literally what Golden State has a run and gun system. You know what I'm saying? And we
with top players on
with,
top
with
of
top
it.
players. You know what I'm saying?
But the question, that's a good point, because is Draymond Green a top player if you take him out of that system?
No,
I don't know.
no,
I don't think he
no.
is.
Fuck
He's
no.
Dennis Rodman.
He got a
Michael
really
Jordan-
lucky, he got a lucky spot.
Brother, listen to me. He's a part of a system, and so what do? You can find you put the guardrails around him. We don't need you to do a whole lot. We just need you to be the tough guy for our team.
Right.
We need you to grab rebounds and kick it out to Steph, Clay.
Yeah, play D.
He does it well.
And play D, right? And so think about Cleveland. Cleveland's not a system team. Cleveland's a LeBron team.
Yeah.
And
That's
everything
true.
else outside of that, you take LeBron away, you take the whole team
You
away.
take LeBron away,
know what I'm
they got
saying?
the first draft pick next year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
It's really
It's hard to find a guy to step up to score 20 after LeBron.
brother.
Oh, dude, who's
100%.
going to do it?
But I mean, to the point though, systems run the world. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Our efficient systems.
I got you. Yeah.
Run
I
around.
love the tie back to the league because I don't think anybody really thought. Everybody understands probably exactly what you just said. I've never thought about it like that. I just always recognized what Belichick did. I knew it was a system because, I mean, just from Wes Walker to
the little white guys. I
white
never
guy
understood
system
the
has
little white
been
guys.
so interchangeable because you had Amendola and Hogan,
Woodhead.
I mean, there's like 9 guys.
Yeah. And a lot of them are paisans.
Yeah, they're all Italian dudes.
Man, let's see. So you know what they got? They got dudes who's gonna work hard, who aren't gonna be out fucking around.
Right.
Or the
Right.
Percy Harvin at Urban
Dude,
Meyer. It's the
dude.
same way. He just kept grabbing guys with that skill set and putting them in that slot receiver.
What is Ohio State's a fucking system? But I'm telling
That's
you,
what Jordan Hall played. That's what Braxton played for a minute.
they all have the same skill set. But what we did with us and our company was so much about me at first.
Yeah,
That was how we got indoors. That's how we opened them. And so I'm still an integral part.
sure.
But they said we can't rise and fall on you.
Yeah,
So we need what we do to be important, more important than who you are. I didn't get that. I was
Sure.
like,
yeah,
As soon as they start pulling me out, and so where it felt weird was I was like, all right. I always associated with me having to be hands-on as working, right? Because I'm a football player. I work. I lift weights. I run. I tackle. I break tackles. I study film. I'm always active, right?
sure.
Having these guys, and like this is the first time I even sat down and listened to a board of people. When they sat down with me and said, like, yo, we need you to, deject yourself from everything so front line. I was like, yo, you're trying to take my power away. But I didn't see it. It was like, no, we're trying to lessen the load on you.
Yeah,
And make this more about the system. And if we need you,
yeah,
boom, we'll come and get you. And so now, after I shifted perspective, I was like, oh, life ain't too
Actually
bad.
makes
Let me ask you
know what I'm
this.
saying?
The irony is when you make that change, how much easier is your workday?
Dude, it is 50 times easier.
I see you doing podcasts and going to yoga.
Brother, listen, I hope nobody else listen to this shit.
You're just in the top 10, Mo.
Yeah,
No big deal.
yeah.
I got roasted for my weird shoe comment, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's having others to consult with and being humble enough to accept their opinion and giving input after all the stuff is done has lessened my load significantly, but also has given me the room.
And how has the business gone?
Brother, listen to me. We're just growing, period. And it's about creating task lists, giving task lists to people who are in charge, giving deadlines to those tasks, and if those tasks are not being met, politely saying, okay, you're not the one for this.
Yeah.
So all these people want power. You want influence. You want power. You want the company to grow. Okay, this is what we need done. Can we get it done by here? I'm going to help you strategize to get it done. I'm going to give you all the necessary tools, but it's on you to get it done. You know, after that, that's what I hire you for. That's what I've paid you for. That's what you're in a position
The tie
for.
back too is that once you're in the system, being able to sell yourself that you can
That you can
that
make
you
it
can
happen.
maybe be the all-star of,
Yeah.
of your part.
Absolutely, but I can't say I got that.
Yeah,
I couldn't say I got that because like everybody. So if you go on Instagram right now and people are selling themselves to build their business, get in business, they think that it's all about them. You know what I'm saying? They think like so. I want to like you go from entrepreneurial to building a business. Entrepreneurial is, and this is just my opinion, is the first part of saying, hey, I want to become a business owner. But once the business is intact, you become a businessman, and that is a business. It's no more an entrepreneurial venture. It's a business. You know what I'm saying? And I think that like making that, like disconnecting yourself from saying like, oh, this is just me, it has probably fucked people up, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like,
And entrepreneurial thinking lives in the constant creation process, right? The moving forward, the change. Everyone knows you always have to be evolving. Okay, that's where entrepreneurial thinking lives, but business is what I refer to as the mechanics completely.
100%.
So you don't have to. I don't think you don't lose the entrepreneur. I totally get your point, but you do have to make that shift, and it's a hard shift, and it's a more structured shift. And I know it was an extremely hard shift that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But you're absolutely right. The entrepreneur button gets pushed when it's time to create.
Yes.
But on a
Which
daily,
is more fun for a true entrepreneur, like
Could-
an
yeah,
actual
yeah.
bred entrepreneur. Like
Sure,
that's-
sure.
Like Nick, the guy who started Zappos, that's friends with us. Like he just straight said, like, I had this great thing that blew up, but like I wanted to start 5 other businesses.
But at the same time, we gotta watch our verbiage, right? Because if we say a true entrepreneur, we could say Jeff Bezos. Is he not a true entrepreneur?
course.
He's the richest man in the world. He's built the biggest company. I don't know if the world's maybe ever seen.
For sure.
The motherfucker. It's true.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about the Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. They not only took these great visions, but then they built these fucking 100,000 person workforces.
But they turned
to
into
take
businesses.
Over. That's the yeah.
They turn like so. I think the point we might be saying the same
I
thing.
think we are.
It turns into a business,
Right.
And business calls for a lot of the stuff that you get produced out of these massive institutions.
Right.
So I'll say this. I don't believe this is not a proven fact, but you won't be able to grow a massive company with a bunch of entrepreneurs. At some point, you need to bring in businessmen and skilled people to put into roles to run a business. And so
Right.
they're turning these people out at all these universities across
Right.
the country, right? I guarantee you, go look at Henry Ford, right? If you go look at it, if you go look at Warren Buffett, right? I had a chance to sit down with him. He probably start off as an investor, but what do you do? Let me grab the best brains. Let me put these people
You want
in the role.
smarter people in the
Yes.
room than
100%.
you.
100%.
And
Ford
that,
said.
what's up?
That's what Henry Ford said.
But that's what Abraham Lincoln led with, and that's probably why he's looking
But
at his best.
I guess this is self-revealing.
Yeah.
That's why it became uncomfortable, because I switched into a world that I didn't like, or that I didn't come from. So the world that you resist, you eventually have to come back around full circle to revisit it, right? So the same job you didn't like, or the same that same structure, at some point you eventually have to swing all the way back around and deal in this world in some capacity. The dynamic you're in it now, you may be the overseer of it, but you will be fucking like hell to believe that you're not going to deal in that structure.
Right.
It's impossible. Like fucking go to. I just got inspired driving up 161 when I seen Les Wexner, all those fucking buildings he's built. You know what I'm saying? He's built so
White
many
fence
distributions.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I'm talking, but you
the
see
black
his,
building.
the black building, right?
Sure.
And so, but all those garages are
big,
his
yep.
distribution centers, right?
Right.
And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, this is
crazy.
a massive fucking
Massive.
business. You know what I'm saying?
It's obscene.
And he started off with $5,000 hustling panties. He started off entrepreneurial,
Yep.
but eventually he had to grow into that structure. And I think that's the process. You know, I think that's the process of like, that's beyond selling yourself to get in. That's just the growth inside of the process to basically keep on ascending to different levels. But even I can see it now. But one thing it's allowed me to see, it's allowed me to take my hands off something and allowed me to go see, okay, what's next? And so I'm not really worried about this. A collection of us, we create a task list, we create deadlines, we give directives, and the people in charge end up doing the work. But now I'm able to say, okay, I'll deal with that next Tuesday. But where we're going next, am I paving this road that I need you all to grow into?
Right.
So once these guys do their thing and help me to grow, now I can pull you further on down the road. I can grow the company to another level. And so it's I don't even know how the fuck we got here.
No, but draw
but
it back
it's
to
still good,
sports
though.
for a minute and just think about, you're talking about the importance of systems, and then we talked about the Patriots, we talked about the Warriors. I'll bring up the Bulls, who won 6 championships with the triangle offense. Those were are championship teams because of a system, and it all comes back to, it's like, how do you achieve insane, repeatable, growable success? Systems. The system makes the success. You plug and play, man. Great systems can plug and play. They're not all dude, if Steph Curry gets injured, KD will probably fucking still take him to the title. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? It's the goddamn system that Steve Kerr created.
But if
and-
Steph Curry was the only one All-Star, they wouldn't. That's the
Exactly,
difference.
exactly. But you could take Steve Kerr's system, and I'm sure listen. When you make Sean Livingston a contributor, you know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
L-
And Andre Iguodala, like those guys are intricate parts of the system.
Yeah, that dude's older.
But you know where it comes from though? It comes from humility.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? We can go back and take it back to selling yourself. Like, am I humble enough to come and say, hey, I'll be a part of a system? Because you can take Clay and put him on another team. He'll make a shit ton of money. Durant, you
Think
can
about what Steph did with KD, right? Steph fucking Curry, my team, my fucking team. Everyone knows me. Now you're going to bring in arguably the best player in the NBA, him or LeBron,
Yeah,
KD,
100%.
and he brings them in with open arms because it
Humility.
ain't about Steph.
He
Humility.
knew he'd win mad
Yeah.
championships.
Wants to
that's
keep
why.
winning.
Brother, listen to me. He probably said, I'll keep winning. I'll put years onto my career. I'll take the stress and the pressure off me every night,
Right.
and I'll have another All-Star. But these tie back into personality things. These tie back into character things. These tie back into things than, authentically selling yourself and saying, hey, like I told you, I think Beanie Siegel had one of the greatest lines in rap, and I said this to you yesterday, Corey, when we talked about podcast influencers and max effort. I said I ain't the captain of the yacht, but I'm on the boat. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people, we grew up in society. Instagram and social media is this platform where it's all about you, right? But the irony is that it's not really all about you if you're trying to win big. You know what I'm saying? You can't name one motherfucker in life who's winning big who is all about him. And when you're trying to win big, please understand that you don't have to be, your name doesn't have to be on the building. You know what I'm saying? Your name doesn't have to be out front. It doesn't have to be just you. You can get on the ship. And that's what I told you yesterday, right? I say, man, look, I'm going to win just from being around. You know what I'm saying? But if more guys
You're contributing, I think, a good bit, Mo.
yeah, but you contribute, but having the understanding that it doesn't have to be about me, and I guess I'm shifting from something, and this is more societal things, because you see so much bravado, so much it's me, so much I made my success happen, so much. Our society is just a me sort of deal, and that's the shit that doesn't allow you to sell yourself. That's the shit that actually cuts you off to opportunity. That's the shit that people don't want to deal with you when you think it's all about you and you don't have enough humility to say, okay, let me decrease more of myself and to be a part of something that can be massive. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's go ahead.
No, I just think that brings us into, maybe the secondary topic, which is influencing people.
Sure.
Right? So you got to sell yourself and then influencing people. And I know we view this very similarly.
Absolutely.
And that is that if there's somebody that you want to influence in a non-manipulative way because you have a long-term strategy on either building something with them or doing a deal with them or just having any objective relating to them, it is the long game that must be played. The first thing you must do is make them comfortable. You have to make them comfortable with you, because so many people say, ooh, I'm getting in the room with this guy. I want to pitch him my brand to see if he wants to be a partner and maybe invest. And they take a 30-minute relationship when the dude's looking around the room to see who's there, and they're pitching him the idea on the company. Motherfucker ain't listening.
No.
As opposed to just saying, as opposed to doing what we're talking about, right? Selling yourself and letting the person know that you're legit. You're a good dude. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we'll exchange numbers. Yep. Okay, maybe we'll connect. Don't text them like a crazy fucking ex, right? Maybe we'll connect in a month. Hey, man, want to see, next time you're in the area, maybe we could have some lunch. I'd love to catch up.
Long game.
Okay, so it could be a year and a half, but if you know what you want, and this is not manipulation, guys. This is objective-based thinking. It's that process. It's not, I got a shot at him now, I'm going to go for the gold. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. The long game is how you don't make people feel pressed up on, and people who are successful, people who have been in the public eye, they're pressed up on constantly.
Every day.
And you gotta know that. So if you're just treating them like a regular person, they need to feel that. They need to feel like a regular motherfucker. And if you're just talking to them like, yeah, whatever, man, you do that, okay, cool. I'm not talking about the touchdowns you scored. I ain't talking about you doing this. Oh, you lift weights. I'm doing that fucking program too. You podcast. Just fucking humanizing.
I'll speak to you on that, because I've learned that successful motherfuckers are always being pitched to every day. They always being asked for shit every day. They're always being asked for the time every day. And one of the most, and I'm not successful, by my measurements, right? I still think I have things that I want to accomplish, but another person may look at me and call me successful, right? And even in the position I'm in, people just constantly asking, get. After a while, that shit becomes, as soon as you hear something that's like that, you'll be like, fuck that, cut off, I'm done, on to the next, don't answer this call. Like, I save numbers in my phone from people not to answer. I'm telling you that right now.
I actually changed their name to don't answer.
No, brother, I get it.
I swear.
I get it, right? And so this is
Double star.
This is
right.
but this is selling yourself, just knowing. I think you can, but to hit on that, to hunker down on it, I'm telling you, my man. No,
give me nuts.
He's like, I'll give you something.
Oh yeah, I don't want to leave you hanging, Mo.
No, just to like to double down on it is knowing that just because you're around somebody who you may want to get next to it, to not lead with all of what you just talked about. That not well understood, but what am I trying
I always
to
say don't try to fuck me on the first date. Jeez.
Yeah, don't try.
I
to
mean,
fuck
that's
me.
what it is.
Don't
like,
try.
That people will come out.
Hey,
of
don't
nowhere.
try to finger me on the first
Yeah,
date.
I mean, yeah, John, you like finger banging.
Who doesn't? What the fuck? I'm a man. I have a dick.
So what I'm saying is, like, dude, guys too. This is a bad transition. Guys
Guys have been fingered too.
email me about coming to the gym, and then it's like, this is my favorite. It's like, oh man, it's 30 minutes away. I'm like, okay. And then they'll show up, acting like it was hard for them to get there, right? And then within 10 minutes of the conversation, yo, can I get your number so I can hit you up different time? And I say, no, you can't. It doesn't work that way.
Brother.
The guys that you're seeing have been here for years, months, whatever. They need help. Yes. What am I doing?
Motherfucker, I don't. But you know what? I don't want to say in their defense, but when people begin, I see with social media.
But the long game is to John's point, is the only way that you get real respect.
But social media makes you believe you can just skip the line.
Agreed.
Okay, Corey,
yeah.
I didn't heard you talk every morning. I followed so what you don't realize. So I'm your fan.
Right.
I followed you every day. I've listened to your tweets. I liked them. I retweeted you. I've bought your products. I've seen you in every facet. I think I know
I've seen
you
with your
I've
shirt
probably
off
responded-
20 times.
Yeah.
Probably more than 20 times, John.
Yeah.
Hey,
I probably responded to most of these people a bazillion times.
so
too.
when I see you, I think I know you.
yeah.
So, dude,
Well,
you're
yeah.
approachable. I listen to your
That's true.
podcast. Like so.
You're a neat guy.
Fuck off, Fosco.
So, but I'm just trying. I'm
You're
trying
a
to.
Put
neat
that one.
fucking
Fuck you,
guy.
John.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate for these kids. You know what I'm saying? These
No.
dudes feel like they know you. You know
Well,
what I'm
and
saying?
but see, that's what's hard, right, Mo? Because I want them to know that they do know me probably more than they know their other person that they potentially look to. But there's a difference between personal time, in the time that you get online, and that is probably a skewed thing right now. Because the time is that's the currency, right? That we're all battling against right now.
Just think about this, right? So just think about how much I see people, and people will come to me and have a conversation with me about something that they've seen online, but I'll engage with them as if I know them because they've seen it online. But just think about the shift in fucking human thinking.
Yeah.
Right? I
that.
I got out of prison in 2010. I can imagine me coming out of prison and the person saying, like, I had a conversation with, like, I just know about you from, like, some random platform. Like, so when they had, like, what was it, like, MySpace? I wasn't around MySpace, but,
Corey was a big MySpace.
just
I
think
never
about this,
had a
right?
MySpace account.
So, can you
time.
remember back to AOL Messenger?
Of course.
Okay, so, so, right.
Yeah.
So, back in the AOL Messenger days, like, these were your
You get that
friends.
free disc in the mail?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So crazy. That's how it used to be.
These were like, but you were engaging with your friends, right?
Yeah.
So then Facebook and these platforms like gave the door for strangers to follow you.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, that's still like like a
Well, to
stranger.
me, it's still like I want to break down that barrier because that's why I've made everything about when I've built businesses with the customers to be accessible, but trying to bridge that gap between accessible and then getting an hour of time to take away that is just that's a hard. There's like space in between there.
I just think we have to segment this conversation because I completely get what you're saying into two.
I'm trying to break
two
it down,
places.
but also it's a different thing than You know.
Businessman, long game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Influencing people, and then regular
it's
dude. It's two different things, and we could go either way with it, but
I don't want to sound like a dick. I'm just trying to like make sure like people understand that when you are selling yourself to a potential mentor, somebody you want to be around, you can't go for the kill right out the gate. That's my like main point about this thing from this topic.
But okay, so
I met Maurice, I'm not gonna be like, yo, can I hit you up tomorrow so we can like talk about your deep feelings?
Yeah, but if we ain't talking about friends, if we're talking about like bringing someone into a business, a strategic partner, trying to get some shit done, it's.
Is that influence or is that relation? Is that like a relationship?
Well, you have to influence the individual for them to even comprehend a relationship. So let's take Ronda Rousey. The first time I met her, all I wanted to do is pick up the check, because how many times does she go out and pay?
Every time.
So the first thing I do is I ask nothing of her. I speak when spoken to, and I pick up the check. How does she feel? Like, I pay, right? So that's the groundwork.
Yeah.
Next time I do the same fucking thing. All I'm doing is saying to you, I don't need you. I don't expect anything from you, and everything that comes from me is not driven based on whether your financial status or who you are.
Yeah.
I'm a person. We're all people, so we're equals, and then it just sets up that table of like, oh, real conversation. I don't feel like you're pulling on me. I don't feel like you're trying to take from me, because they all have their fucking guard up like this,
You have to.
and you have to loosen it up in ways that are strategic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The check thing's an interesting one. How basic that is, but how effective it is. It's real effective.
But I'm gonna let you go. But it digs into the personality, because think about this: when I sit down at this table, I expect you to take care of it.
Yeah.
I'm about to feed myself.
You assume that whoever that
person
is.
How much does that dig into somebody's personality?
It does.
Just think about this, right? I sit down, I sit down and expect you to take care of me. That's
a fucking problem.
That doesn't just stop with food.
Yeah.
That bleeds over into everything else we're going to do. You think like he's fucking up the dynamic of the order of people, right?
Yes.
So unspoken, everybody believes she's supposed to do that. Let me fuck this up and reestablish myself that I'm not one of this. Yeah, I have to reestablish those things. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, what I was just gonna say is that I think it's that's an awareness thing that's interesting, right? So and when these things kind of happen, especially with these younger dudes around here, I try to like stop them and explain it to them, because I've done the same thing before when I was trying to work with somebody. Like me and Jason went to this meet the other day, and we had to stop after we weighed in McDonald's, right? I eat McDonald's like a couple times a year. The check was like $13 or something. It was $15, whatever. Jason straight went for it. Hey, you let me ride with you. You bring me along. The least I can do is get this. I just don't assume that you have to pay. You know what I mean? Now, he's an unpaid intern. I don't know how much money he got in his account, but I guarantee $13 is way more. But those little things, and so I stopped and said, you know how many times that I've been out with businessmen or people that have way more money than me, that they assume to pay. And when you take that from them, they every time have said, man, thanks. And my answer is, just because you're a rich dude don't mean I can't pay for lunch.
100%.
Because 100%. I appreciate the time. And so it was like, I don't even know if he is just a nice kid. He was just doing it because he thought that was the right thing to do. But I was trying to explain to him like that is like a real like tactic to some degree.
Oh, absolutely.
To disrupt the process.
It says my expectations of you do not exist. I expect nothing from you. Therefore, our dealings are authentic.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know what I'm saying?
And I don't know that he did it. Like the reason why I like examples like this is because these little small things, they all add up as you're selling yourself, right?
Right.
It's pretty cool.
In the long game, like you behave like that, you are just going to it's like points on a scoreboard. And then eventually it's like, oh, the guys who can give me opportunity, I've showcased this, I've done this. I think he's smart enough that was part of his long strategy. I think he's a smart kid.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point. So that's points on the scoreboard. Opportunity comes, it's his.
It's something small like that, but I think that the podcast has real takeaways, right? We're giving you guys things that you can go and do that will disrupt the process and get you ahead of the line that everybody's playing the game.
Brother, everybody wakes up. Everybody's playing the game. Everybody's trying to advance. Everybody's trying to move forward. The key is to move forward and not be a whore about it, be a bitch about it, be a liar about it, any of that shit about it. You know what I'm saying? The key is to remain or have some level of integrity and realness to yourself and move through life and get everything that you want to get accomplished. And so you don't have to compromise yourself. I pride myself in. I sent a message to 2 of my guys the other day, and it said, "I'm glad I'm not a bitch." You know what I'm saying? Like, I was lifting weights in the gym.
That's a pretty good comment.
And I was serious. You know what I'm saying? Because
why were they not there?
No, they weren't. No,
I'm
they're
glad
not
I'm
there.
not
That sounds like shit I would say.
No, but I was
Like
serious,
it.
right?
Like
So, and this is probably, I'm hoping no kids listen to this. But
I don't think very
I
many
go
kids
through
listen.
life, and I just see like a lot of bitch ass dudes who do bitch ass shit to get ahead, right?
Totally.
And I'll be like, man, these
Bitch
cocks.
ass dudes that do bitch ass shit.
They
I
do.
love
Get
it.
ahead.
No, I agree. I just love it.
You know,
Keep going, please.
I call them pussy. I say pussy too often. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but
ladies,
it's
they're a bunch of pussies.
It's
Said
the same
finger
thing.
bang,
So,
slap.
pussy,
Yeah.
bitch. We're
yeah.
but I can look at guys in the face and know that they know that they're doing bitch ass
Right.
shit,
To get around
and know, like, dude, you know.
They think they're tricking you. They're so stupid
real guys ain't getting tricked.
that
Not
they
long
think they're
term.
getting around you, and you're sitting there like, really?
Not long
Really?
term. Not long term.
Dude,
That's what
I'm
it is.
telling you, but I just had like to know, like, it's somewhere in your spirit, in your soul, to know that I'm getting ahead and I'm moving down this road in life or this track in life, or I'm moving forward, and I don't have to compromise like how I feel about myself, or I don't have to say like I don't have to. I don't have to like have like bullshit relationships. So I spoke to
You're one. You guys both are like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So-
one thing I enjoy
Shut
about
'em
being
down.
friends with both
Shut
you
'em-
guys.
shut 'em
So
down.
let me just tell you this, right? So I go to I give you an example of the meeting yesterday. So I'm sitting down with one of the county commissioners and her whole board of people, and she's like, this is this small, she may be 65, 70-year-old Jewish lady, cool as shit. Her guy who administers her budget or her board, he probably controls $40-50 million, and you had another lawyer guy. So we all sitting here, and we just break up in the middle of the conversation. I was like, why the fuck y'all care about black people? Straight up, you know what I'm saying? And but said it that way, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And but what got me? So I'm about to give it to you. So what got me was this lady. This lady's 70 years old, and literally she was speaking with so much passion about serious issues. And so I was like, most of the time when white people come around, black people, it's usually let me commoditize this story, let me be this nonprofit, let me collect a check, let me do some bullshit like that. And so she looked me in my face, and she said, my dad owned a pharmacy in the middle of hoods when we grew up. And so we grew up in the civil rights era. And so she said the fact that my dad gave these people so much medicine, and they came in and out the store, it was a convenience store, I was always interacting with these people, so this was my perspective, and I knew this wasn't fair. So this wasn't no rehearsed shit. This was her going into stories, what made me buy into her more.
It was real.
But what it did was that I just broke up that, fuck this shit. I don't want to have a bullshit relationship. And so, but I said, y'all know I'm not like an Uncle Tom, right? And I said, if you're dealing with me, like, this is who you dealing with. And I was like, I don't want no money from y'all. I don't need nothing from y'all. And so the other dude was like, yo, dude, I'm an old meth addict, right? Now he controls this budget of $50 million. And so now we've put all the vulnerabilities on the table.
Right.
Now
You just provoked it all like that.
you feel where I'm coming from, but so
The realness is out.
But you walk away from the table. So now when I come back, or if they see me walking, if they see me doing an interview, if they see, highly reliable, I know I'm getting that dude. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm seeing him talk, he didn't come and bring this representative. You know what I'm saying? And so for me to know you don't have to be a bitch and make it. You know what I'm saying? To make it in life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so to me, that's why I sent that text message, and I was like, this is how I think everybody should experience making it. Like, this is like just being yourself or having the ability, the comfort, and no matter if your process is slower than somebody else's. Like, John, you may make it faster than me, but you may lose all integrity doing it. And so you got to wake up and be that person.
Sure.
I don't. You know what I'm saying? Not you per se, but
of course, it's how you do it.
Yes,
like,
100%.
I can give you a great example, and we've roasted him before. We'll roast him again. Like, we were we were in fucking Reebok, and we dealt with the top executives, and these motherfuckers asked us about our strategy on how to maximize their $71 million investment in the UFC, and they were going to bring us on as highly paid consultants.
John was willing to even move there for a short period of time. It was that serious.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
this ain't like some bullshit. This is like real deal.
It's the UFC. It's a strategy on how they display all. It's basically what I was doing with Corey for fucking 7 years, and so we lay it out for him. And then they're like, all right, talk to the CEO. We're talking to the fucking CEO. He's like, I like this. Put it together. So then we talk to his number two. She's like, all right, I think we can do this, a large amount of money a month. And then she calls me back. She's like, we can't do that. Come back out here. We can do this. And it was like, all right, this is still a good amount of money. Let's go out there. And if I have to live in Boston for 3 or 6 months to
make it happen,
we'll do it. So I go out there, and they basically asked for like a 3-hour pitch of the detailed strategy on how it would be carried out. So I gave it to them.
3 hour.
Then we hear crickets. And then
sure did.
They say, sorry, we're not going to do it. And then guess what happened? All the ideas that were laid out, we're watching on pay-per-view. We're watching on fucking
There's
Fox.
One. There's the other
implemented,
one. There's
implemented,
the other one.
Implemented. Reebok straight gamed us. Yeah. And I think that's what you're talking about. That's some bitch ass shit. They know who they are.
Because they didn't want to take the balance sheet item on because they were getting heat from Adidas. Adidas cut 150 heads, even though meaning employees, but they knew they needed to fix that. They gouged John and I for all the information, didn't take on the balance sheet, and put it out there. And they still only got...
What's that dude? What's the CEO's name?
It's Matt.
Matt what? Meyer?
No. I want to say Barkley, but that's the quarterback from
USC. Matt, CEO of Reebok, you're a bitch. Corinna, you're a bitch. Fuck yourself. And when you operate like a bitch, you deserve to get called out like a bitch. And that's why Reebok, they had to sell their corporate headquarters shortly after because they're bitches and they can't make fucking money because they don't understand the space.
But here you go. The irony is I guarantee you what they did to you all, that practice in business just didn't show up there.
Oh.
That inefficiency and not being able to be creative, not being able to allow others to exist in your space at the top, not being able to take highly talented people and invest in them, not being able to hold to your commitments. That thing just doesn't come and go with John Fosco.
Exactly.
That's why it's having a problem.
That thing goes into all other areas, right? And if you're smart like Maurice Claret, you say, oh, there's smarter motherfuckers around me. There's better motherfuckers around me. In order for me to keep this thing rolling, can you all come and let me elevate you? Let me put there's people.
If you're going to invest $71 million in something you know nothing about, and there's professionals, like you've been running the game that we just got into for the past 7 years, and we can acquire you at fucking, a small percentage of that $71 million. That is like the biggest slam dunk in the history of the motherfucking world.
But you have to ask yourself, is it ego?
Yes, of course it's ego.
I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. John Fosco showcases coming in and taking the table and going,
right.
And then what happens is no one wants anybody to walk in their office. See, that is the mentality, if you're listening, you have to stay away from, because that's what gets you killed. Comfortable and killed. So like, hey, I know we're spending $71 million. This guy's about to shake it up because he knows what's really going on. I'm going to try to block that because I don't want –
because that makes me look bad.
So you know what's going to happen?
I don't want this guy walking in my office. That's what it became back in the day, too. I've seen it a ton.
Let me see what happens. What happens is the board of directors get together. They realize that somebody else's personality is on this, and they start to say, who the fuck is that, right? Yeah. And so then you start to say, what else could you do?
Right.
Because that's what happens. Motherfucker come in.
Oh, you show, yeah. So we'd have exposed them bad.
It breaks down in football, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get on and play running back. I got on playing special teams, right?
Yeah.
So you get in, you make a play on special teams. Like, okay, what else can you do?
Right.
Oh, you can play punt return. Okay, what else
They
could you
didn't
do?
want, hey, they
Right.
didn't want to put us in the game.
So that's the point I'm making,
Yeah.
John. Y'all start somewhere,
Right.
and y'all end up every other place. And what happens is these corporate people, they have these relationships, and so how many corporate motherfuckers are just on the payroll just because they buddy is holding them in there?
Their whole
Whoa.
existence is about protecting their salary.
It's
So
defense, it's defense, bro.
It's all prevent.
Yes, it's all
and,
prevent.
And
That's
that's
all prevent.
yeah. That situation was straight up like this. Hey, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and it's based on fact, and it's based on what.
Proven.
But our 2-year plan is completely different. And then I say,
Can we
what's,
ta- can we
what's
ta-
your 2-year plan based on? And they said, well, CrossFit. And I'm like, oh, CrossFit. Do they fight in a cage in CrossFit?
You know
No, but we think that it could be similar. Well, it's not similar, bitch, and let me tell you why. You know what I'm saying?
Well, think
So,
about
can
you go
we-
to hey, think about this. You go to the CrossFit Games, the people in the audience actually practice CrossFit.
Yes.
You go to a UFC fight, the
Kim
percentage-
Jong-un sitting there eating popcorn. You know what I'm saying?
percentage of people that
You know, Lil Rocket
actually
Man.
think about this. The percentage of people that actually do MMA, actually do it, is probably under 10%.
Oh,
I would let's say less than that.
Okay.
2%
okay,
maybe
okay.
do jujitsu.
Hey, so follow,
Yeah,
hey, so fol-
exactly.
All right, so follow me for a second, Mo. This is the things we're posing. So you're telling me the zip-up tight muscle guy hoodie that the guy's walking out with, that fan ain't buying and wearing.
And
it.
the tights,
No.
the tights
'Cause
that
they-
fighters fight in.
No.
You're gonna mass market those? Like some
No.
fat
Right?
dude's
He's
gonna
not
walk
buying
around
that. No.
muffin topping?
But
Are
the
you kidding me?
CrossFit, but the CrossFit community,
You can
looks,
sell them that gear.
Yes,
Yes, 100%.
So they missed that.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a big miss.
Hey, we gonna title this episode "Fuck Reebok."
Yeah. That'd be amazing.
Reebok. but here was the most satisfying
They were a
thing,
first
Mo.
sponsor to it. It'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
is that they had this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, like corporate campus,
Yeah.
and like 6 months later they had to sell it, and we're like, oh, that's karma because the regime is fucking covering.
brother.
It was a good
pe-
exercise.
You rise and fall on people. And the more I do business, listen to me. The more I do business, if your ass was in charge and that thing crumbled and failed, it was because of your decision making.
Damn right.
Nothing more, nothing
Right.
less. You look at places who fail, it is the leadership 100%. I don't give a fuck about nothing else. The guys on the bottom of the totem pole can do nothing that you don't allow them to do.
Exactly.
And it's your
They
direction.
ain't got the keys to the car.
No, but like the guys in here, if y'all crumbled and falls because of y'all decision making, it's either who you didn't empower, who you didn't enact, who you didn't hold accountable for not carrying out the mission, lack of plan and lack of vision. The more I get into this shit, I'm starting to realize, like, man, I think the ultimate thing in life is coaching. Like, I think if I can do anything in life and literally do anything, like I think if I can get older, kind of like Joe Mowgli did,
Yep.
everything is coaching, man. I
Right.
am convinced. Like if you just like, you know, if you ask, you know, I don't know why my mind just got to religion, but these phenomenal books, or whether it's religion, spirituality, ain't nothing but a coach. You know, they just coaching you to where you need to go.
Andrew Carnegie been coaching me for a long time.
Andrew Carnegie is nothing but your coach. What are we doing on this podcast? We're doing nothing but coaching. You know what I'm saying? I fell more in love with coaching and old ass coaching analogies and adages or whatever the fuck that they call. That's all.
Because
it is.
they're timeless. You know what
Timeless,
I'm saying?
man.
Timeless.
They're based on humanity. They're based on the mind, and they're based on how people act. And people have been people since fucking.
Behavior.
Well,
Yes,
one
since-
thing I want
since
to talk
we
about
hit
the
Earth,
Reebok
man.
again too, which kind of sucked was, and why those guys were scared. John's been like in love or had a passion about that sport forever.
Since 1993, the first UFC was
It's like-
November 12th, my
It's like
birthday.
me. It's
Oh,
like
they've
If I
been
got an
around
A
that
on my
long?
Yeah,
19,
exactly.
if I got an A on my report card, my mom would buy it for
So
me. UFC won.
It's close to like how I probably view lifting or you at football at one point or what, you know what I'm saying? And so he had a
Oh,
chance.
I got you.
Like we worked to the spot where it was so real that I think it was so threatening to them because it would have ended up starting there. And I think that I wish that we could have had it. John could have fixed all of that for the sport. We would have been paid by Reebok, but I honestly think it was rooted in him trying to fix the sport because he thought it looked like a fucking joke. And that's one thing I think that I was upset. And that might be more of a personal thing about the sport, John, but like I was excited about like getting to see him in that game, because I already saw it from the Muscle Farm standpoint, like marketing, we killed it. But to actually have control of the sports uniform,
Yes.
that's like having control
That's
of the NFL
huge.
jerseys, you know? So
Yes.
that's one thing that they missed because of the talent they were scared of.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's more of a Reebok problem.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but I looked at it like this: who the fuck puts out 71 million and does their research after? It's just such a systemic problem.
It's retarded.
I tell you, like this, 71 million is a lot of dough
Bad
to
today.
throw at something you don't know what the hell you're throwing at.
Exactly.
That's a lot of dough. So, whoever they are, fuck them.
Fuck them. Reebok shoes, you guys wear them here, you're fired.
I got Reebok shorts on.
Let me ask you this: is Adidas and Reebok same company, right?
Yeah.
Adidas owns them, but is trying to package them up. Guaranteed.
Oh,
100%. You can see it a mile away.
all the time.
You can buy them, Maurice. You
I'm not.
John knows what to do.
Brother, listen to me. I have
He'll do
no.
it for 10% of that 71 million.
If anything, I say, how do we chart our own? How do we LeVar Ball it? Let's get our own shoes. Fuck that.
We're doing that.
Yeah.
We got anything else cool to talk about?
Oh, I wanted to talk about this.
Go ahead. Floor is yours, Mo.
This is very simple.
Okay.
Don't be a dickhead in traffic, right? I'm
Okay.
telling you,
Where's
this
this going?
is how you close it, right?
All right.
So, and I think that you can tell a lot about a person's personality in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's trying to get over in traffic,
Oh,
and this
yes.
didn't happen to me, I seen this happen to somebody else. But if a person's trying to move over
And you speed up.
and you speed up,
Dick
I
move.
think that is so. I asked
It's so
myself,
bad.
why didn't you just go that fast in the first place, or why are you trying to impede on this person having progress? And so that makes me think about you and your life when I have no reason to think about your life. I have zero reason
So true.
to think about your life, but I'm just asking myself, like, why is it important that you cut this person off or you don't allow this person to move ahead in traffic? And if you're one of those people who are listening to this, ask yourself,
The
like,
human need for power.
you're a hater. I just think you have to be a fucking hater,
If
my
you
man.
cut people off.
They
I
got a
love
little
it.
bit of power. They want to show them, hey, I got it. I'm the one who decides whether you get in this lane. And that says so much about your minuscule
Yes.
existence.
If a person wants to
That's
get
funny.
over,
The traffic analogy is good.
brother, let them over.
Yeah,
It's not that
exactly.
serious. Like,
It's like 3 seconds
Hey,
out of
one time I was it was like getting off of an overpass or whatever, and there was this huge line, and I was like jammed over to the side, so I just kind of like rolled all the way to front, and when I got in, I'm like, oh man, I'm that fucking guy right now. Like I just dipped around 30 motherfuckers and got in like, and I'm like every one of those people's like.
they fucking hate you.
But why are they flicking you off? Because they got to wait 2 more seconds? You know, at the end of the day, somebody does that. Hey,
So for those who are in traffic, just remember, if somebody gets in front of you, it's not that serious. If somebody cuts you off, it's not that serious. You don't have to take your fucking 1,000-pound automobile and aggressively drive and endanger other people and stick your finger up and yell. It's okay. It'll be okay. Somebody
Right.
gets in front of you, it's okay.
Right.
Somebody cuts you off, it's okay. Somebody speeds past you, it's okay.
and life goes on.
Life goes.
You're really getting less aggressive in your old age, Mo.
Listen
In his
to me.
old age. Hey, this guy's throwing shots.
Hey, this is where I'm at in life, my
Yeah.
man.
I know.
Like I'm
Yeah.
just sitting, like like I was getting on. I was coming up 161, and I seen this dude. He had a Honda Civic, and he was flying. And this lady, she had a white little 4-door like Traverse or whatever. She was trying to get over, and this dude just he floored. And I'm like, my man. Then you went right back to the speed that you was traveling. Like it's not that serious.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but.
Love it. All right. Give us a subscribe, positive comment, 5-star review, of course. You know, go comment on Instagram so Jeremy can send you a T-shirt, maybe.
Yeah,
Right, Jeremy, you're
absolutely.
running those now. And run some. Free
Jeremy,
t-shirt.
how many
Jeremy, let's give out.
T-shirts we got left?
Jeremy,
really?
let's give out. Jeremy,
okay.
let's give out like 20 T-shirts on the next post
Yeah.
based around this episode. So if you haven't went to Instagram, it's at BizBies, right? Biz Biceps. Yeah, at Biz B-I-Z Biceps. Jeremy's gonna give you 20 T-shirts. He'll tell you how to get them. I think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to do, and I mean, if you think about our beautiful faces are on the shirt, so
They
who
are.
who the fuck wouldn't wear one?
Absolutely. if you want a picture of my boat shoes, they have flat soles.
Yeah.
I was gonna say slips.
Flats,
What do you call
bro.
those? Sandals?
Sandals,
See,
slides.
the younger kids call them slides. That's what it
Yeah.
is. I think
Well,
that's what I meant to say.
the Islanders call them slippers.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to make it not about what I said.
I just think it's cool. I don't have to fucking put on shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's real cool.
I hate to put on stock. That sounds lazy.
No. I mean, you know.
It's understandably lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, there you go.
I get it. All right, so if you guys need muscles like John Fosco, go to maxeffortmuscle.com. But if you want, the new product, you can't have it right now.
You can't have it right
But
now.
it'll be probably, 6 weeks?
I think it'll be 6 weeks, and I think it will change your production level
Yeah.
for the better. And I know that because when sampling it, we conquered the world.
Yes.
And I'm talking Christopher Columbus voyage, conquer the world. But we didn't do the bad things that he did.
I should have.
He did some bad things.
I should have took someone I was working on my systems yesterday.
Your systems.
Yeah, remember we were talking about systems. Working on.
You see those circles? Those bubbles are Corey, bro.
I drew those motherfuckers.
Yes! Give me some!
Listen, but I don't think so.
Yeah!
So what I'm trying to do is create the systems so I can get back to doing what I know I'm the best at, which is not creating systems, but getting everybody, moving in their direction.
Right.
So I can go back to creating products.
But we give out a lot of advice. So what does that do for you if you stretch yourself?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I'm trying to get this is a process.
This is you stretching? This is you
I'm
growing?
getting. Well, yeah, I think it's not natural, although I've done it in the past.
You talk about remaining uncomfortable, right?
I am uncomfortable with it.
There we go.
I ran the meeting.
Ain't this what he talking about?
But it's not. Well, no, but dude, this entire process is uncomfortable for me.
Creating the systems.
Coming to the office is uncomfortable for me.
Oh wow.
I don't even like to come to the office. I don't think I've been practicing for 2 months before we moved here. Seriously.
Coming to get into a habit.
Absolutely. The whole thing's uncomfortable.
It is a routine.
No, I'm not. I have many routines.
You have many routines.
I'm the.
You're not a
epitome-
natural collaborator.
No, I'm not. I'm a not a true.
It's like, oh.
I'm really like I'm a brat entrepreneur. I like to just fucking go and do whatever. That's how I've always been.
Oh,
I fought this office for 2 years to even have it.
to have an office.
Then I had an office because I was running everything just like remote. Had the office, I was okay with it. Got rid of the office, but kept it. And then back, we have to create systems. We're just getting too big now. So yeah,
Wow.
that's a stretch, but it's not really. I've done org charts with 100 employees before. I mean, that's small time between what I've had to do, but it's like But I feel like if the systems get moving, then it allows me to get back to what I want. So it's a means to an end for me. That's the way I look
So
at
gotta
it.
get done.
That's the way I process it anyway.
Literally, if that's what that is, that's just what I did.
Yeah.
When I sat down,
It's neat.
I just sat down with other people, and we got some smart.
Well, yeah, John
motherfuckers.
and I kind of went through it and then met with everybody because I feel like if everybody's doing what they need to do, then the little small ancillary stuff you ain't got to mess with. So I can worry about creating stuff or creating product, whatever we do. You know what I mean? That's part about the future, not the present.
Oh, I get it.
So, all right, you guys subscribe, like, do all those good things. maxeffortmuscle.com. We appreciate y'all. Talk to you soon. Can the podcast be stopped?
The podcast
Can't
be stopped!